talk about a lot of political things, but underneath all of that is the Bible. I am unapologetically 100% in favor of is the Bible. Jesus is the Word. There is no delineation. If the Bible says it, that's what Jesus is, and that's what Jesus believes. That's what this podcast is actually about, is to actually alert people to what is coming and what is our responsibility in the midst of it.
Democrats used to believe that border security and immigration enforcement were just common sense ideas. Don't believe it? Take their word for it.
Americans are right to demand better border security and better enforcement of the immigration laws. We simply cannot allow people to pour into the United States undetected, undocumented, unchecked.
We've had 5 million undocumented workers come over the borders. It has become an extraordinary problem.
All Americans, not only in the states most heavily affected, but in every place in this country, are rightly disturbed by the large numbers of illegal aliens entering our country. And we must do more to stop it.
Biden, yes or no, would you allow the cities to ignore the federal law?
No.
Any city should listen to the Department of Homeland Security. The city made a mistake not to deport someone that the federal government strongly felt should be deported. Just because your child gets across the border, that doesn't mean the child gets to stay.
We do not think the comprehensive health care benefits should be extended to those who are undocumented workers and illegal aliens. We do not want to do anything to encourage more illegal immigration.
People say, well, why can't you stop illegal immigrants from coming here? And the number one answer we give is when they come here, they can get jobs, get benefits against the law because of fraud. Illegal immigration is wrong, plain and simple.
Open borders. You're doing away with the concept of a nation state.
Our nation, like all nations, has the right and obligation to control its borders, and no matter how decent they are, no matter their reasons, the 11 million who broke these laws should be held accountable.
For decades, these weren't controversial or radical ideas. The only thing that changed is them.
It is very uncomfortable.
What I'm observing is what the Constitution allows us to do, and that is to organize, to protest, freedom of speech. And I want you to know that they're fully armed down here. They have their weapons, and the weapons are pointed at the protesters. They just released some tear gas on people. Folks are trying to make sure that they save people's eyes and that their eyes don't get put out by this tear gas that they're letting go. But this is a violation of the Constitution to try and intimidate and harm people who are protesting, exercising their constitutional rights.
You appear to be dialoguing with the agents at the altercation. What were you talking? Were you trying to make them stop?
Well, I've been here before, and this is where they slammed the door in my face when I first came down here some time ago. But I am going to just insist that people stay on the street. Don't leave. We see that we were beginning to break them in Minneapolis, and Trump was trying to back up. But of course today we see that Trump, in ordering the arrest of Don Lemon, is not backing up at all. He's trying to show that he's got power. But the people have more power than Donald Trump or anybody in this administration. Stay on the street. Stay on the street. Keep protesting. Don't leave. Don't stop.
It's been a week since I met with Tom Homan. Expectations have not changed. This force must leave Minnesota. The state of Minnesota and the professionals, nonpartisan judiciary must do the investigations into the shootings and other abuses of Minnesota's human rights. And this all-out assault on Minnesota across all of state government and all across life must stop. None of this is normal. None of this is okay. None of this makes Minnesota any safer. None of this adheres to the values of this country. All it does is cause terror and trauma.
And the final point that I typically make is around understanding the root causes of migration. If people will remember, there were a lot of people that said that Vice President Harris was the border czar, and that wasn't really her title, but she was given some responsibilities as relates to the border, and it was more so to understand root causes of migration. So the example that I usually use specifically in Texas is when the Haitians showed up at our border, there were these images of officers on horseback that were beating Haitians back into the water. And I was like, no one ever asked the question of why are the Haitians showing up at our border? And I said, if they would have asked that question, they would have found out that their government had been overthrown and that it was gang members that were running their country.
We must have accountability, and we must bring justice to every fascist in the administration, and that includes Kristi Noem, that includes Stephen Miller, and that includes Tom Homan. ICE will be abolished, DHS will be dismantled, and together we will get it done.
We could easily solve our balanced budget problems by simply repealing the taxes, the tax cuts on millionaires and billionaires enacted over the last 10 years. But what is really the major problem in this country today is the fascism in our streets. The attacks on American citizens by masked hoodlums. If you were attacked by a masked person, you might think you were being kidnapped. You'd be justified in shooting the person to protect yourself. But we see people being shot for what? For driving a car? We see people, the ICE goons break into people's homes without a warrant. We see them drag out a man, an American citizen, in his underwear without even permitting him in the snow, without even permitting him to get dressed. This is the major problem we have today, along with the attack on our elections. We saw last week.
Around the rosy, a pocket full of posies, ashes, ashes, we all fall down. Ring around the rosy, a pocket full of posies, ashes, ashes, we all fall down.
Why are we seeing terrorist attacks from radical Islam within our own borders? Where did this come from? Islam is largely alien to American history. It certainly didn't come into the United States on the Mayflower. It's something that we deliberately imported as a matter of immigration policy into our country. And it's going to destroy us just like it's destroying Europe right now. It's our job to stand up to that, to stand up for our values and to prohibit alien cultures and alien ideologies that do not comport with our own government governing framework. And that's why I'm proud to be part of the Sharia Free America Caucus.
All right, Tuesday night, and we are live. Hope everybody's doing good. As always, be blessed in the mighty name of Jesus. Let me say it, everybody in the chat. Serene Pickle is on. JGCK is on. Guitar Glenn is on. Auntie Mama is on. General Plowman is on. Mr. Cool Dude is on. Robin Aroni is on. Clean Sanchez is on. Trev McGroin is on. Laura Jean Lynn is on. Skunk 71 is on. Let me see here. Agravane is on. Jules 21 Hours is on. PJ Wiles is on. Let me see here, scrolling down. NJods 127 is on. Big Jim Go Blue is on. Veronica 18201 is on. Ever Eden is on. My Broken Heart is on. Let me see here. Key Lime 13 is on. Clean Sanchez is on. Slyland is on. Scrolling down. Release the Hog is on. Granite 2468 is on. Sheila K is on. Mark 1069 is on. Uncle Wally is on. Luann 5 is on. Hanslick Donovan is on. All right, let me see here. Biggie 926 is on. K4 VMS is on. Dead Pal 50 is on. Milwaukee James is on. Stephen Toms is on. Let me see. Scrolling down. Jim Brody is on. Daynow 59 is on. Patrina C is on. Snag Dog is on. Leon Fish Puppy is on. Those Jesus People is on. Let me see here. Gloyd Shaw is on. Conservative Warrior is on. Let me see. Scrolling down. Grab a couple more here. Captain Cliff is on. I think I said Ever Eden, but if you're not, Ever Eden is on. Let me see here. Mobetta 01 is on. Confederate 1 is on. Let me grab one or two more and we're going to get rolling here. Let me see here. One or two I have not seen yet. Let me see. PJ Wiles is on. Let me grab him. There we go. Buckeye Nut 1968 is on. I'm going to grab one more. Let me see. I haven't seen yet. Let me see. Oh, that'll stand out. King Slutsy McGroin is on. A couple things off the pregame real quick. The Brandon Gill Sharia Free American Caucus. First I heard of it was today when I saw the video. That is a great thing. Sharia Free American Caucus. Now, here's the thing. The Israel skeptic crowd, of which I am one, will go, okay, now you know that you're going to have representatives that are strongly represented by AIPAC on the Sharia Free American Caucus. Now, this is a great opportunity for America. Because here's the thing. All you have to do is go America first. That's all that you have to do is go America first. You do not have to go 1,000% for Israel, and all that Israel does is correct, because it certainly is not, to be Sharia free. Even though Israel wants you to be Sharia free and wants you to be Islam free, okay, in that one area, they are correct. That doesn't mean then that you 100% side with Israel. Is that clear? I hope that that's very clear for everybody, because that's how it is. Because Israel does many, many anti-American things, and it's a very anti-American agenda. So do the Muslims. So when you go anti-Muslim, that doesn't mean that you go 100% pro-Israel. Now, I never have to worry about balancing the Muslim part, because I am always 1,000% anti-Sharia law and anti-Muslim. Israel, on the other hand, okay, I weigh every last thing that they do. Okay, I see what they do. I see that AIPAC is illegal, and Israel is perpetrating that. I get that. I know that Israel has sold our military secrets to China. I know that. Okay, I know that Israel considers us to be the dog to their tail. I know that. And we're always fighting their wars, and they never actually fight in them. Okay, I know that. I know they have a very anti-American agenda in many, many ways. Of course, so does Islam every single time. So whose side do you take? Neither. Isn't that great? Isn't that great? Now, Tom, you're a pastor of a church. I mean, I thought, what about, like, I see all these other churches with those Israeli flags, which, by the way, aren't. Just so you know, do some research on that flag. But anyway, here's the thing. I just look at Israel as another one of our allies. I look at them like France. Nothing different. Nothing different than France, because the Bible verse that everybody claims, that none of them actually follow, but they actually, because the people who claim that Bible verse claim no other Bible verse. You ever notice that? They claim the Bible verse that if you bless Israel, you'll be blessed. I almost said it correctly, because they always, like Ted Cruz with Tucker Carlson, actually quoted it incorrectly, that if you bless Israel, you'll be blessed. If you curse Israel, you'll be cursed. It's actually Abram. And I know I talk about this a lot, because I'm just trying to set how I believe everybody should look at Israel. The new actual children of God, nation of God, is anybody, Jew, Gentile, Greek, any color, any past, that's under the blood of Jesus. Anybody who's under the blood of Jesus, Jew or Gentile, is now the nation of God. Understand that doesn't mean that the book of Revelation, there aren't very historical references coming in the book of Revelation in the nation of Israel, because they are. Therefore, when you see the abomination of desolation spoken of by Daniel the prophet stand in the holy place, it is, okay? It's a land for which the Lord your God does not care. The eyes of the Lord your God are always on it. So the land has very significant importance, but the new nation of Israel is anybody under the blood of Jesus, God's chosen people, but you are a chosen generation, a royal priesthood, a holy nation. That's 1 Peter 2:9 and 10. That's written to the church. Now, we are the royal priesthood. We are the holy nation. Is that clear? And that's how it is. So I just look at Israel as they're a democracy in the region. They're also very pro-trans. So I guess that means Ted Cruz, very, very pro-trans, very pro-pornography, very pro-globalist leftist bourgeois elitism, very pro-vax, very pro-COVID agenda, very pro-Gates agenda, Bill Gates agenda, lab-grown meat. They're very, very pro-biometric ID. So I guess that means you have to bless the mark of the beast. You see what I'm saying? I mean, it doesn't make any sense. You're going to have to bless Pornhub, because Pornhub is owned out of Israel. You can't curse it, right? I mean, it makes absolutely no sense whatsoever. And by the way, God curses Israel. So, I mean, and that's all it is. And God curses every nation, all the nations. Psalms 9:17. All the nations will be turned into hell. I mean, I'm trying to remember the exact quote, but it's all the nations that forgot God. Oh, gosh, I forgot the quote. But anyway, it's basically Psalms 9:17. But it's basically everybody will be turned into hell that doesn't repent, and all the nations that forgot God. It's got nothing to do with God doesn't specifically curse Israel. God doesn't specifically curse Yemen. God doesn't specifically curse Canada. God doesn't specifically curse Australia. God curses those who live in abominations. You know, the wicked shall be turned to hell. Thank you, Aaron. And all the nations that forgot God. Psalm 9:17. So anyway, awesome. Thank you, brother. Thank you for thinking for me. But anyway, so that's how it is. So when you see the Sharia-free American caucus, it's going to drive some people to go, yeah, but you got those pro-AIPAC Israel zealots that are on there. Of course. Well, in this one area, can't we all just agree to be anti-Sharia? Well, then they're going to try to press it, Tom, and press it and make it and empower the ADL and Jonathan Greenblatt. They're going to try to ban our speech and not allow people to say anti-Semitic things or whatever. And people go, shouldn't you? I mean, and a lot of good-hearted Christians, because they're good-hearted in the wrong way. They're actually good-hearted in a non-sexual, perverted kind of way, so in a perverted sort of way. They're like, shouldn't you? I mean, you shouldn't. Wouldn't it be great to ban anti-Semitic speech? No. Because, first of all, what is anti-Semitic speech? Because if you go on to ADL, Anti-Defamation League, run by hyper-leftist Jonathan Greenblatt, who hates Donald Trump and hates all MAGA people. And remember, that's who you end up siding with if you're for banning anti-Semitic speech, which even Donald Trump has tried to do. Okay, here's the problem with it. They've already deemed the term America First is anti-Semitic. The term America First is anti-Semitic. So where does the line draw? And so when they try to pull that crap while they're on the Sharia-free American caucus, that's where you draw a line. That is the very nature of human relationships. You partner part of the time, and then when your partner kind of turns on you or tries to go too far, then you have to hold them accountable, and then sometimes you fight and the partnership breaks up, right? Isn't that just the essence of humanity? Yeah, it is. It's just how it is. And you can't be afraid of it, because right now, Aaron, who's the guy that you can't stand that's on that council?
Randy Fine.
Randy Fine. So right now, Randy Fine, who Aaron can't stand, I'm not a fan of either. And then Brandon Gill, who I am a fan of, are partnering in this to make sure that we are making a stand and saying Sharia law and importing Muslims is a horrible idea, because Muslims are destroying Europe. In every single area of the United States that they have planted themselves and have been allowed to be here by Democratic Party politicians, they are destroying those segments. It's like, Tom, that's Islamophobic. I don't care what you say. First of all, it's not phobic because I'm not scared of them. It's just absolute fact. Every area that they touch turns to crap. That's a fact. They don't work hard. They just produce kids and get on the taxpayer teat. That's all they ever do. And what Brandon Gill is saying is keep them out. I didn't mean to talk so long about the pregame. But if you look at the lies in the pregame, also spoken of by Democrats, Jasmine Crockett still talking about the whipping hoax to this day. I mean, again, they simply have absolutely, I don't know what the word is for it. They are impossible to embarrass. They have no conscience whatsoever. They really have zero conscience. Their conscience is absolutely seared by being a reprobate. Because Jasmine Crockett, Democrats have already debunked the whipping of the Haitian migrants hoax. That never occurred. Joe Biden had to come out and humiliate himself by saying that never happened, but she's still espousing it with Jessica Tarloff. I mean, to this day, we're still hearing how cops were shot on 1/6. We're still hearing that ICE arrested a 7-year-old in Minnesota. None of that has happened. But when you are absolutely devoid of conscience and devoid of self-respect, you will continue to whore yourself out to the narrative, just like Jasmine Crockett. Jerry Nadler's talking about ICE breaking in homes. Show me without a warrant. Show me that footage, Nads. Show me that, Nads. I would love Jerry Nadler to show us footage. It doesn't matter, because he is a political whore. And by the way, there's plenty of political whores that are Republicans too. Don't be a political whore for anybody. Don't be a political whore for Trump either. When Trump does something wrong, call it out. Don't just say it's 5D chess and it's all coming together as if you're some sort of new age QAnon guy for MAGA. No, there's not. Sometimes everything's not a plan. But Trump is a great president, is doing a great job. But anyway, So none of that ever happened. Then you have the Democrats are carrying out their usual agenda, which is they are looking to arrest the previous regime, which is the current regime, where you have Delia Ramirez looking, speaking from some podium out there with the biggest earmuffs on I've ever seen in my life, talking about arresting ICE, arresting DHS, defunding DHS, and then you have, Brandon Johnson, Tim Waltz, trying to think of the others. There's been others. I can't remember. I think J.B. Pritzker talking about arresting and prosecuting ICE agents. So arresting and prosecuting the previous administration. Oh, the Pandora's box that they've opened. And what needs to happen now is Kash Patel needs to be fired. He's doing nothing. Pam Bondi needs to be fired. She's doing nothing. They need to bring in the equivalent of Elon Musk into both of those roles. Somebody that will come in and actually sort of piss everybody off. Because Pam Bondi never pisses anybody off. Have you ever noticed how Kash Patel doesn't piss? You ever hear him even spoken of by Democrats? You never hear Kash Patel being badmouthed by any Democrats. I wonder why that is. Because he doesn't do anything. Nothing's being done by the FBI. Nothing. I can't believe he's still in the position that he is. I can't believe Pam Bondi's in the position that she's in. I mean, maybe it's Trump. Maybe Trump doesn't want it. That's what the black-pilled right-wingers will say, is that Trump doesn't really want to do anything. So he puts in these people that won't do anything. And maybe it's true. I can't imagine that being true. I hope that that's not true. I mean, I can imagine it not being true. I hope that it's not true. But those people need to be fired. It doesn't matter that they're Republicans. It doesn't matter that they voted for Donald Trump. It doesn't matter that we played Enter Sandman when Kash Patel got nominated. I thought he was going to be the greatest FBI director in the history of America. He absolutely sucks. He does nothing. He does nothing. What was the last thing he did? Everybody should be an absolute, right now, bearcat, an absolute dog going after these Democrats. There are so many arrests to be made. How is Ilhan Omar a free human being? I mean, she was just chronicled by Bennett Johnson that she claimed $5 million worth of income from a winery that doesn't exist, just like every other Somali-owned business in the state of Minnesota. How is Tim Waltz not under indictment? I mean, there really is no question here about any of these charges. None whatsoever. And you have to be clever. You have to be tenacious. You have to be a street dog. That's who you need. A Ken Paxton. You need an Andrew Bailey, who's second in command of the FBI. Kash Patel needs to be fired immediately, and Bailey needs to be put in charge, or they need to fire Bondi and put Bailey in her position. You got to put dogs in there. Or you beg Ken Paxton to do it, although he's running for Senate and looks pretty good and beating Cornyn in Texas. All right, speaking of ICE, let's get to it. Eric Doherty video breaking. ICE has just arrested an illegal alien. You're not going to believe this story. I just threw together two ICE stories real quick. You're not going to believe this one. And by the way, this isn't the first one I've seen. I can't remember what the other state is. But breaking, ICE has just arrested an illegal alien. New Orleans. Oh, you're like, so what? What's the big deal about that? Police recruit. This person's going through their police academy, who was given a firearm from the African nation of Cameroon with an active deportation order and no work authorization. But he's employed in New Orleans as a police officer. Play it for me.
We have a new development that we know that you are not aware of yet, but we also know that it will become a newsworthy item, and therefore we're going to go ahead and share it with you. We don't have a lot that I can tell you. But as of this morning, ICE did indeed take into custody one of our police recruits, who was we hired and was in the police academy at the time. We've had conversations with ICE regarding this. There was no struggle involved in any of it. The person was actually, the recruit was taken into custody without any incident whatsoever. So what you would want to know about this particular person is that on our end, when we were doing the hiring process, there was nothing that was in the packet that would have us have reason to believe that this person did not have legal status. There is some question that may have developed later, but there was a signed order by a judge for his removal back in December. We hired him.
Let me go over this real quick. Does everybody know that that's absolutely impossible? And let me ask this question first off. Why is Grandma the chief of police in New Orleans? How is that? If you cannot affect an arrest, you should not be the police chief. Would everybody agree with that? That if you yourself cannot meet the physical requirements to be a police officer, you shouldn't be one? She would be required by law on her drive home if she saw an armed robbery in progress to stop that crime or to do all she could to stop the crime. Could she do that? I mean, does everybody see how ridiculous Democratic Party run cities are? Where you basically have grandma running the New Orleans Police Department, one of the most violent police departments in the nation. What I mean by that is New Orleans is a crime-ridden area, so there's a lot of violence involved, so you have to use a lot of violence as a police officer. And she herself could never utilize that violence herself. And you're like, Tom, what are you talking about? Well, most of you know that watch the podcast, but I was a cop for 25 years. That woman has no ability to be a police officer. Listen, there's a lot of females that don't, and I saw it firsthand. I don't have some. If you want to know more police stories, you have to ask for the rant. Ask for them in the rant. But anyway, believe me, I saw it firsthand. But so why is she there? Second thing is, and maybe this is, here's probably the reason why she's there, is how in the world does this guy get hired? Now this guy has, let me see his resume here. He has no proof of citizenship because he's from the African nation of Cameroon. So he has no proof of citizenship. What's the requirement to be a police officer in the United States of America? You have to be a citizen of the United States of America. Not an actual citizen. It can be naturalized, but you have to be a citizen of the United States of America. How would you know, Tom? Because I took the oath. August of 1992. And I was a cop until August of 2017. 25 years and 1 day. So believe me, I know. So he's not an American citizen, which is very easily proven, and nobody does. And again, let me just tell you something. Being hired as a cop is the symbolic equivalent of a full body rectal examination. Your entire life is given a rectal examination. Everything. They call your friends. They call your relatives. You have to go through the polygraph. How does he pass the polygraph? How does he pass the polygraph? Did they just exempt him from the polygraph because he was black and they knew he was illegal? Why was he exempted from the polygraph? Because there's no way he passes it. Everybody, you realize what they ask you on that freaking polygraph? They ask you everything. I'm talking about, listen, folks, I had to confess to things that, I would never want to even bring up in public. On the polygraph. That's what you do. Everybody does. It'd be a really interesting job to be a polygraph examiner for people having to be hired in police office because you have to confess to everything, dude. I had to confess to stuff that I stole when I was a teenager. I had to confess to everything, dude. I had to confess to stealing cable TV. I had to confess to everything, or you ain't passing that freaking thing, okay? And only if you're an absolute serial killer. A sociopath can you pass it in lie. And the rest of us, you ain't passing that thing. But anyway, so how in the world did this happen? There's no way for this to have happened. No way possible. But yet this man with a final deportation order is hired as a police officer in a Democratic Party city. This is what's happening all over the globe. And it's trickling into the United States of America right now. There's little zips in the line, and it's trickling into the United States of America. And the only reason why this guy, because he's in the academy right now, so probably 16 to 18 week academy, 16 to 18 weeks worth of field training. So he probably would have been a cop somewhere September, October of this year. And the only reason why that's not going to happen is because he was caught by DHS, not the Democratic Party chief of police, not the Democratic Party mayor, not the Democrats, but because ICE caught him. That person there's no way for this ever to happen. She's like, we just don't know how this could have happened. What are you talking about? Listen, you give me that guy and 10 phone calls, I know who he is. Believe me, I know, because that's how backgrounds work. You're like, how big of a deal is it? Maybe they just don't give a crap who they hire there. And that should have been her explanation was, we don't give a crap who we hire, and that's how it happened. I have to show you this one. So we're having all of these school protests. Kids are walking out of school to protest ICE. And we're finding out many of them are instigated by their parents. And we also have little kids doing it. Little kids, 7, 8, 9 years old, walking out of their schools, saying kindness is, whatever. Kindness is what I can't remember their stupid chants. But anyway, kindness this, kindness that. And they're all protesting ICE. And these little kids instigated by their leftard, always, who, every time? leftist white women. Every time, orchestrating these protests with these kids. Well, of course, it's now spreading to all the middle schools and high schools too. And not that a kid would walk out just to skip class or anything. I mean, that would never happen. They wouldn't be just skipping class. They really have moral convictions of we are anti-ICE and anti-deportation of illegal immigrant child rapists. That's what these kids are really feeling. So we showed you, and you'll see some in the post game too, by the way. But anyway, so Mario Nawfal video: students in Austin attacked a teacher during an anti-ICE walkout. So again, this is the culmination, the fruits of the labors of Democratic Party politicians and Democrats in general and liberal white women. Play for me. I'm trying to figure out what that girl's saying the whole time. Gay! I mean, obviously, she's not making the most of her education because I can't understand a word she's saying. Gay! Every one of those kids, when you physically assault, when you physically attack a teacher, that's a felony. And every single one of those kids needs to spend significant amount of time in prison for what they've done. So, I mean, that needs to happen. This shows you every single time Democrats get what they want, follow the lies, follow the violence, follow the dead bodies. And you would think that as Democrats saw the fruit of their labors, they'd stop being Democrats. You think that when Democrats endlessly see that their politicians have lied to them and made their lives worse, that they'd stop voting for them. Let's look at that. Let's look at this as an example. I got my whole stack. I got to it tonight. This is my Democrat politics. I mean, I'll be honest with you. This is my favorite thing to do on the podcast. This is number one. I mean, I like to sing the praises of Trump. I do. I've got to mix in some praises of Trump into my Democratic Party pile so that it wasn't just all Democrats with only 2 Trump slides in this giant stack. And this will probably be as far as I get tonight because I've got a whole stack on corrupt elections too, which we're going to need to get into because it's all coming to light about how Democrats ever get elected, by the way. But anyway, because if you actually look at the fruits of their labors, you look at the ramifications of their policies and their legislation, it's always abject disaster. But anyway, so we're a month into the Mamdani regime. So what I'm going to do is just float around to various Democratic politicians and Democratic Party administrations and just fervently attack them because they're all a bunch of worthless, repulsive demons. That's who they are. So anyway, let's go. Now, this is Michael Rappaport is fervently, very, very fervently anti-Republican. But he floats back and forth because he gets very fervently anti-Democrat because Michael Rappaport, I'm not a big fan. I'm just saying, but he will see the forest for the trees. He will actually see that Democrats do useless things. He's a Bill Maher. Although they won't, and Joe Rogan's kind of like this too. They won't quite jump over the cliff. They won't do it because they'll lose half their audience, which is the essence of cugness, by the way. Just want to say that, because I don't want to sing people's praises too much. It's kind of the essence of cugness when you're afraid of losing a relationship by speaking the truth. That you won't speak the truth because the relationship will end. That's the very essence of cugness. Where, and listen, I know I don't know about most anymore, but everything kind of takes on different definitions. I don't use cuck in the term of a woman watching her husband having sex with another guy. But in this very one instance, I actually am, because right there, just to keep the relationship with the wife, like Will Smith style, you're going to sit there and watch your wife get banged by another dude just to keep the relationship. And that's how people are when they won't preach the gospel from the pulpit because they're afraid their congregation will leave. You see what I mean? But anyway, so let's go to New York. Michael Rappaport video. A week after, so this is now we're closer to 2 weeks after, not full 2 weeks, but mid-range, somewhere 8 to 10 days later. So this is shot a couple days ago. I've been waiting to get to it. This is Michael Rappaport. Mamdani has been in office for a month. There's been no free buses. As a matter of fact, she's put on new taxes And he's actually taxing bus fares now, but not giving you free bus fare. But anyway, let's look at the city's awesome response to the mega snowstorm. Play it for me.
Look at this shit. Look at this shit. This poor bastard ain't getting out until the spring. Look at this. Dirt a week after the snowstorm. Look at this dirty shit hole. Look at this. I don't know what this guy's gonna do. This guy. Call your insurance company. Look at this dirt. Where's the mayor? Clean this up. There's garbage everywhere. Dirty snow. What do you do with this? Where's your shovel now, Mangami? Look at this. You know how many people fall, break their ankles? Look at this. This is New York. Start spreading the news. And this is on the Upper East Side. 3 minutes from where the mayor lives. Look at this guy. Look at this. Look at this. This guy's never getting. Look at this. Look at this. It's the reality of New York City. 1 month. Where's the salt? Where's the shovels? Where's the plows? Bullshit, fake. Look at this. Look at this. This is a great look for New York. Look at it. This guy's never getting out. His car's destroyed. This poor bastard with his motor scooter.
You know, there's just nothing better than walking down the street and having trash mixed with snow. I mean, giant, and what's great is it's all white, kind of. You know, it's all white, so it all mixes in together. Fantastic, absolutely fantastic job by New York. I mean, again, what a freaking disaster New York is. And again, that's a full week after. And now I don't know what it looks like now, but the videos that I have seen even after this one, but again, I don't know if they were shot after this one. It hasn't gotten any better. Let's go there. Let's get to the root of all Democratic Party politics, shall we? And that is to tax the rich, right? Chief Nerd Video, question, Mayor Mondami, and this is a question of Kathy Hochul, governor of the state of New York. Mayor Mondani has said he doesn't think wealthy people and corporations would actually leave if their taxes go up. Let's listen to Hochul's answer. Play it for me.
So Mayor Mondani has said that he doesn't think that wealthy people and corporations would actually leave if their taxes go up. Do you disagree with that?
It's not a gamble I want to take because we're already down about $13 billion in revenues from people who did leave our state. And when asked, many of them do complain about the taxes in New York, something I'm trying to do.
So this brings up the very rudimentary question of why are you a Democrat? Because she just acknowledged, okay, listen to her answer. It's not a gamble I want to take because we're already down $13 billion in revenues. Would that not maybe give you a hint that you're wrong? I mean, wouldn't that give you a hint that you're wrong when you are down $13 billion in revenues from people fleeing your state because of your regulations and taxations, where you are taxed, I don't know what, and it's just purely made up figure here, 5, 6, 10 times what we are in the state of Florida, and we have better services here. They have horrible services, horrible roads. I mean, governmental services, horrible governmental services, horrible roads, potholes everywhere. Look at their governmental services right there. They can't pick up trash. How many of you have ever, I mean, listen, I went to New York in 2017. It wasn't like that. He was certainly not a fervent right winger, but he was a Republican mayor, Bloomberg at the time. So there was nothing. There was no street. It was actually a very clean city at the time. I was actually startled by it was really, you could say, a safe city at the time. The crime stats were very low. Their crime has gone up incredibly since Democrats have taken back over throughout the last several years since 2017, since the last 9 years. So I mean, de Blasio. It was an absolute disaster. That's when the trash all started up again. But anyway, just back to the original question. If you're a Democrat and you're going $13 billion has fled the state, would you? I mean, maybe there's 550 people watching right now. Maybe you're a Democrat. If that was me and I was a Republican, and my policies and my legislations and my ideals caused $13 billion to flee the state, Speedy Gonzalez style, wouldn't that? I think that would give me a hint that maybe I was wrong. I have no idea how Democrats think. because they continue to vote for it. The Democrats who are not going to be able to get in their vehicles or leave because of the snow embankments and the trash embankments are still going to vote for the very people that left all that there for them. Amazing to me. For me, I'd stop voting for them, but they never do for some reason. I mean, because of the threat of republicanism. How have we ever threatened you? We're not ever the violent ones. We're never the ones that are banning speech. We're not the ones who ban your firearms. We don't do any of those things. We're not the violent ones. We don't have Antifa. We don't have Black Lives Matter. We don't do the violence. All the violence is done on the leftist side of things every single time. So why do you fear us? We don't ever do it. The gun violence is perpetrated by leftists, not us. Our lawful gun owners never commit, statistically speaking, never commit gun crimes. Lawful gun owners never do. I know there's always an exception. Don't send them to me. I'm just telling you that's very rare. Very rare. All right, so anyway, back to Mondami. So I want to show you some of his latest appointments out of New York, America's largest city. I mean, therefore, I am video. Breaking, Mayor Zohran Mamdani has appointed Stanley Richards, who was incarcerated for robbery. This is not the only one. We had another city too. There he is. Yeah, there's Stanley. He was incarcerated for robbery and is now commissioner of the New York City Department of Corrections. Play it for me.
Stanley will make history in this role as the first ever formerly incarcerated person to serve as commissioner. That achievement is not merely symbolic. It is a testament to the thought and leadership he will bring to every member of corrections staff and incarcerated New Yorkers underneath his purview. And as the former first deputy commissioner for the DOC and the executive vice president of the Fortune Society, that work has long been Stanley's purpose.
When we provide support, when we center our collective work on hope instead of fear, when we see what is best in all of us instead of judging people on the worst thing that they've ever done, when we see our commonality as opposed to our difference, we can achieve the unimaginable.
What does that have to do with keeping everybody safe from criminals? You are now the commissioner of New York City Department of Correction. You're talking about hope. That's not your job. Listen, always treat people with fairness and with kindness. I agree 100% with that. And with humanity, and treat them in a humane fashion. I get all that, and I believe all that. I did that as a cop. I didn't treat people like crap as a cop. Didn't treat them in the back seat of my police car like crap. I didn't do any of those things. I didn't mistreat people. But the thing is, that's not your job, is to come up there and talk about kindness and everything else. Your job is to keep New Yorkers safe from criminals. That is actually your job. And it reminds me of Ketanji Brown Jackson. Where was she on Saturday night? She was at the Grammys. So we have the first ever in the history of America, the first time ever a Supreme Court justice is at a leftist event in Hollywood or wherever the Grammys is held. Why is that? I mean, should a person of jurisprudence ever be in a public setting like that and become a rock star and become, a celebrity out in the world like that? Absolutely not. And it's the same sort of thing here. You don't get hired because you are the first. That's not why you hire people. You hire people because they're the best. So let's look at the next one. So here's chief counsel for New York City, Rothmus Video. Now, so he hires a convicted felon, Stanley Richards, to be the commissioner of the Department of Corrections in New York. And now he hires Ramzi Kassem, who was a 9/11 hijacker attorney, to be chief counsel. Play it for me.
I'm delighted to announce that I am naming Ramzi Kassem as chief counsel. Ramzi will be joining the administration from CUNY, where he serves as a professor of law. Government service is no novel concept for Ramzi, who served as a senior policy advisor for President Biden from 2022 to 2024, and has deep experience arguing in court, including before the Supreme Court. I will turn to Ramzi for his remarkable experience and his commitment to defending those too often abandoned by our legal system. City Hall will be stronger with him in it, and our work of building a more prosperous city for all will have a powerful advocate. My sincere hope is that New Yorkers who have long felt on the margins of this city, the homeless veteran straining to survive, the patient searching for the care that they need, an immigrant trying to get by, will feel that they now have leaders in their corner who understand their struggles and care to fight for them. That is the...
I can't listen anymore, but I had another 10 seconds. I just told Joe, bring it back here. But anyway, so that's who's now been hired as chief counsel. So you have Democrats right now hiring 9/11 hijacker attorneys, former felons to run their Department of Corrections. Jerry Nadler says it's perfectly fine to shoot ICE agents. You had Congresswoman Ramirez say that she wants to, and it's Brandon Johnson and numerous others, Tim Walz, saying that they are going to arrest and prosecute ICE agents. So we have, of course, the constant instigation of the violence on the streets of Minneapolis and other locations by Democratic Party politicians and Democratic Party leaders. But so what's Trump on and about doing? Let's look at some Trump for a second. Peter St. Onge video. Let's look at what Trump's on and about doing. We got what the Democrats are on and about doing. What are the Democrats? They're talking, all the Virginia stuff that's going on in Virginia. They're raising taxes everywhere under their affordability agenda. So that the Democrats are doing those things. What's Trump doing? Well, Peter St. Onge video. Tariffs are delivering a manufacturing boom. Play it for me.
Factory production jumped last month, blowing away economist surveys of a loss. Soon you will not care about tariffs because it will be made in America. The numbers take factory production in the last year to 3%, while factory orders hit 5.5% growth. For comparison, in Joe Biden's 4 years, factory output fell. Perhaps you will recall that Biden boom we were all too dumb to see. Now, this is all fun since regime economists were certain we were going to see a manufacturing collapse from Trump's tariffs. Instead, we're getting exactly what Trump promised: big, beautiful factories. American steel production just exceeded Japan's for the first time in 30 years. Last week, Illinois-based Century Aluminum announced the first aluminum plant in 40 years, which would double American aluminum output. John Deere will make excavators for the first time since the 90s. Tens of billions are coming in from Canada and Europe, including Jeep's biggest ever factory, and every single German car maker, moving at least some production to the U.S. Whirlpool is moving production from Mexico. Smartphone parts are coming from India. Taiwan Semiconductors putting $100 billion into Arizona. Nvidia pledged $500 billion. Even Apple, amazingly, is producing in America.
And felonious crimes at a 40-year low in the United States of America. Imagine what our stats would be if there was no Tampon Tim's, Jacob Fry's, Minneapolis, St. Paul, Minnesota. So tariffs are delivering a manufacturing boom. Factory orders are up 5.5%. American Steel just exceeded Japan for the first time in 30 years. First American aluminum factory in 40 years, and many others. And that's a 3+ minute video, all singing the praises and many other stats about what Donald Trump has accomplished. That's what Donald Trump's on and about doing. So back to let's see what Democrats are doing. Right Angle News Network's video breaking. Leftist anti-ICE agitators marched through Minneapolis yesterday, which was a couple days ago. About 4 days ago, 3 days ago, something like that, 4 days ago. Yesterday, smashing driver's side windows of cars they encountered and leaving many construction and blue-collar workers with their vehicles destroyed. So they're out there protesting ICE and vandalizing vehicles. Play for me.
They broke into everybody. All these fucking windows. Every single fucking window. Are you fucking kidding me?
Well, this is what happens when you actually, and we keep showing it here on the podcast, these people are all hired. They're all paid, a lot of them between $80,000 and $100,000 a year to actually go and protest. And some of them lesser monies, but many of them are paid. And some of them many of them are stupid enough to do it for free. And so what does that have to do with ICE? When you go and you smash the windows of working class people's vehicles, what does that have to do with ICE? That you could have been smashing the vehicles of people parked to protest. You could have been smashing the windows of vehicles of Democrats. You could have been smashing the windows of vehicles of people who love to slaughter the unborn just like you do. But none of it matters because these are mindless drones who are just programmed to do whatever ActBlue tells them to do, whatever Soros tells them to do. Whatever the big money source out of China that we named yesterday tells them to do. But here, again, we showed you what Trump's on and about doing. So here's another thing they're doing in Minnesota. You're going to love this one, especially military veterans. They did a Breaking 9/11 video. They did what Minnesotans reenacted raising the flag on Iwo Jima using what really looks like, this is the Minnesota flag, but looks like the Somali flag. Play for me. Imagine doing that. That again, this is why it's not some sort of just ideological debate. It's not just an ideological debate. We are dealing with people who are treasonous, people who are, beyond anti-American, anti-God, anti-Christ. That's who these people are. They're absolutely, remember, there's not just one antichrist. There's many, many antichrists come before Beast 1 and Beast 2. So that's who these people, look at this. It's an absolute denigration of American service and American heroes themselves. That's who Democrats are. They have absolutely no respect. They don't care. They would never do what these soldiers did, the Marines did on Iwo Jima. They would never do it. But yet they themselves, there they are. This is what they honestly believe this about themselves. They believe that they are the Paul Reveres. They believe that right now that they are the heroes of now the 21st century. Because what are the heroes for? Because they marched through the streets of Minnesota, smashing people's driver's side windows and mirrors. And they marched through the streets, preventing ICE officers from deporting child sodomizers. That's why. That's why they're heroes. Imagine the threshold for being a hero being that low. All right, let's move off to California. Kevin Dalton video. It's almost starting to seem like everything Gavin Newsom and Karen Bass said about the unprecedented recovery and rebuilding for the Palisades and Eaton fires was a lie. Play it for me.
Neighborhood rebuilt again. You mentioned a couple of things in terms of us expediting. So I signed executive directives right away so that we could cut the red tape. We could get people back building as fast as possible. And we're going to continue doing that.
Yeah, the one thing is they are saying they will not be allowed to start for 18 months.
No, that will not be the case.
Okay, I just hope
that
you're right.
You can hold me to it.
Because 4 groups said that.
No.
That would be they should be able to do it. They should be able to start tonight.
That will not be the case. First we have to take care to make sure that there's not getting rid of the hazardous waste, cleaning things up so that people can start right away. And just like you said, if somebody their house was destroyed and they're going to rebuild essentially the same, maybe a little bit longer, a little bit higher, they really shouldn't have to go through much of a process. So I want you to know that we are expediting that. We absolutely need your help. We need the federal help.
You got it. I told you. You will have no permit problem. There will be zero delay. And as far as I'm concerned, you already have the permits.
All right, so there you go. Now look at all the rebuilding that's been done. That's January 24th, 2026. Obviously, I think today's February 3rd. So that'll be identical, obviously, because we're only talking about, a 9-day difference here. So anyway, nothing. Again, this is video that I would take to do a presentation in front of Democrats. Explain to me the virtue of being a Democrat. You have one house, and you'll see maybe one or two others that have started reconstruction. And here we are well over a year later. We're over a year later and nothing has been done after Karen Bass, who is a devout communist, not a Democratic Party communist. I'm talking about a Castro communist because that's who she worked for, Fidel Castro. And probably Raul Castro, too. There's one house right there. And then there's one over there, and there's one over there. There you go. Nothing's being done. And she says, and Donald Trump says, I heard that you were only going to be issuing permits 18 months from now. And she's, of course not. That's exactly what's happening. What's going to change in the next 6 months? Absolutely nothing. They're not issuing permits for these people to rebuild their homes. It's the same thing that's happened in Lahaina, too. That you can't get a permit. Now, what are all these people paying for? Their homes that aren't there. You think your mortgage stopped because your house burned to the ground? That's how they get you. That's how they defeat you. That's how BlackRock swoops in. And it doesn't matter whether it's called BlackRock or it's called Rock of Black or Vanguard. It doesn't matter. If you actually just go down the list of subsidiaries, you'll end up. That's how Big Pharma stays in business. Just keep running this. I'm going to stay on this for a minute. That's how Big Pharma stays in business. Big Pharma creates these subsidiaries, and they produce these vaccines that end up killing and maiming people, and only the subsidiaries. So it's not Pfizer that gets sued. It's BioPfizer that gets sued. So BioPfizer gets sued and goes out of business, but Pfizer never does. That's what they do here. They do the exact same sort of scheming here. They just have, it's not BlackRock that's doing it. It's Grey Rock that does it, but it's actually a subsidiary of BlackRock. So nobody ever can actually trace where they are. It's like trying to trace the ownership of Google. It's on purpose. It's all muddied water so that nobody can be held accountable. And what they do here is that all of these people are paying for their glorious homes. Don't you see the homes, everybody? This is like when Biden was trying to tell you how great the economy was. Don't you see the homes? Don't you see how great the economy is? No, I don't see the homes, and I don't see how great the economy is. Nobody can rebuild their homes. And believe me, none of these people voted for Donald Trump. Okay, none of them do, but they're all paying mortgages. Now, here's the thing. What's really interesting about the Palisades is the Palisades are as close to middle class as you can get in Los Angeles. Can't get Las Vegas out of my head. In Los Angeles. Because all you have in Los Angeles are the haves and have-nots. That's it. That's it. You have the haves and you have the have-nots, except for places like the Pacific Palisades. So they are targeted because you're not going to get the haves because if you're going to go up to Billie Eilish's Tungvu, whatever, I can't remember the tribe name from yesterday. But anyway, you go up to her $14 million mansion, you're not going to be able to get that via a fire because their mansions are all too spread out, everything else. And it wouldn't happen because there'd be too many political ramifications. And you can't burn enough houses to the ground to make it worthwhile. So here's the thing. So you go after these middle-class houses. Plus, BlackRock can't victimize Billie Eilish because Billie Eilish is worth $50 million. In order to victimize people in your BlackRock, what you have to do is either burn it to the ground like this or like Lahaina, and all of these people are still paying their mortgages. These are middle-class mortgages on $1 to $3 million homes, though. Middle-class mortgages. So they are all still paying. And so if my mortgage for my, when I built my house was $238,000, this is a long time ago, but it's worth a lot more now because Florida has gone up. Tongva, thank you, Peg McGroin. Tongva, I just saw it in the chat. Thank you so much. Tongva tribe. So, BlackRock can't go after that Tongva tribe land now. They can't do that. But anyway, so what they do is all these people are still paying these monstrous mortgages. So your mortgage is, I don't know, $7,000 a month. All right. Something like that for your $3 million home, something like that. So you can't pay, you're not going to be able to pay for it. And you have no home to live in. So what are you having to do? You're having to rent another home while you're paying your mortgage for that glorious home, right? Doesn't everybody see the homes? Don't you see the homes? No, they're all gone. That's right. See the homes? They're gone. 14,000 of them gone. So they're paying mortgages on them and they're paying rent. So they go bankrupt. And then either they're forced to sell or they go bankrupt and it goes to an auction, sold at a much lower price to BlackRock. BlackRock does the same thing. They go into a neighborhood that's being built and then they jack up the price. They buy some house, it's an average home cost of $300,000. They buy a home for $600,000, jacks up all the prices, causes the builder to go out of business. No, because nobody's going to go in and buy a $300,000 house for $450,000. So they go out of business. It goes bankrupt, and then they scoop up all the houses for $100,000 each. That's what BlackRock does. It is that evil. It is that bad, and that's what's going on here. Is the state wants to buy a lot of this land for the Olympics that are coming up, and they want to create a smart city, which is a smart city is a 15-minute city where you can again. This is I think it's Oxford, England. They're going full 15-minute city. You're allowed to leave your city, your 15-minute zone, 100 times a year. You have to swipe in, swipe out, register in, register out. And that's what all of these people want. They will never live in it. Billie Eilish will always be on her Tongva land, or nobody can be illegal on stolen land. She'll always be illegal on her stolen land. But the rest of us, they want us in 15-minute cities taking 57 vaccinations. So here's Donald Trump addressing this. Eric Doherty video. Holy crap, President Trump just pummeled Gavin Newsom for causing national emergency for the fire victims. Play for me.
It happened, but we got it all done in 20 days, the whole place. And yet now, still, more than a year later, they don't have permits. Almost nobody is building. So I haven't told this to Lee Zeldin yet, but I'm going to put you in charge of getting permits. I think we're going to override the local authorities because they're never going to have it. And when I was told that there's a provision where you can override the local authority to get things done, because it's really, to me, it's a national emergency. What they've done to these people is horrible. It's just horrible. And they'll still vote Democrat. Can you believe it? After all, it's just, they get used to it. Although I must say we converted many. We'll probably convert a lot more. but I just want them to get into their houses. And I don't want a big section of the area built into low-income housing. They want to put low-income housing right smack in the middle of it. And that's not the American dream, you know? You didn't do that. And low-income housing is great. I built a lot of low-income housing, but you don't put it there. This is one of the richest neighborhoods in the world, and we're going to let those people. And I recommended strongly that everybody gets the approval, immediate approval to build a house, and you give them a 10% bonus so they can build a house 10% larger than they had before if they want, for all the suffering they've been caused. So they can build a little bit bigger house. So Lee, if you want, will you accept the job?
And hopefully Lee Zeldin did accept the job. But anyway, so Trump's going to try to override the local authorities and use federal authority to allow these people to rebuild their houses, which, by the way, he'll be able to do. But he just shows you the low-income housing, that's BlackRock. That's globalist, leftist, bourgeois, elitist agenda. That's what that is. Low-income housing, workforce housing, all of that. Even though at times it looks nice and whatever else, that's fine. And listen, people have to have places to live. I lived in apartments. You all have lived in an apartment. When I was single, I lived in apartments. As a single cop, I lived in an apartment. When I was in college, I lived in an apartment. It all depends on where they're built and how they're built. And they need to be built because people can't always, they're not in a stage of life where they can buy a home or maintenance home. No problem whatsoever with that. Problem is what they want to do is replace a very solid upper middle class area with a 15-minute low income. And low income in California means it's still $2,000 a month to rent there. So that's their low income housing that is then controlled by the government. It's a smart city where their air conditioning can be turned on and off by the government, just like they want to do with our cars, which, by the way, starts getting implemented this year or in 2027. The kill switches that was just voted on, Thomas Massie tried to kill the kill switch, and it was voted down by Republicans. You can't be, Tom. Republicans are on our side. No, they're not. They are espionage spies of the Democratic Party for the most part, with exceptions of Thomas Massie and Donald Trump, who hate each other. But this is what it is. Again, you don't have to choose sides. Whenever they're agreeing on something, I mean, whenever they are agreeable to your conservatism, then you go with it. But anyway, so that's the plan in California. Hopefully Donald Trump's able to do this and get this stuff rebuilt. All right, let me show you this one. Eric Doherty video. More on California. Holy crap, IG report finds California Democrats approve free phone internet for 94,000 deceased people. Play it for me.
More fraud has been uncovered in California. It seems like every day discoveries are made. According to the Federal Communications Commission Inspector General, the state of California approved free phone and internet service for more than 94,000 dead people. Your tax dollars at work, folks. California misused $3.8 million in federal funds meant for low-income Americans so that deceased Americans could have free internet. Of all the fraud found in this program, 81% came from California. Due to our state's proven lack of management and leadership expertise, the FCC has now revoked California's authority to manage this program. I will continue shining a light on fraud in California. Be sure to follow me to stay up.
See, your only choice when it comes to Tampon Tim, when it comes to Gavin Newsom, J.B. Pritzker, Governor Healy, it's like Maura Healy, something like that, out of Massachusetts, and numerous others I could name, Abigail Spanberger now in Virginia. It's either I guess there can be a C. It would be A, galactic ineptitude, a corruption, or A, ineptitude, B, corruption, C, both, all the above. That's all that it can be. How in the world does a government program approve free cell phone and internet service for 94,000 dead people? Again, all of this, it comes down to the, I can't remember how, $50 million for prophylactics in Palestine. Remember that one? They came out so you had $50 million for condoms in Palestine. All right, for people that don't even use condoms. So it all went where? It didn't go, obviously. There was 94, this was spent on 94,000 people, but obviously they're dead. So where did all that money come from? That was 81% of the money. What did Newsom do with it? See, if we had a genuine FBI, because There are thousands upon thousands upon thousands of FBI agents doing nothing. They're doing nothing. This would all be investigated by the FBI. This is fraud. And we put these arbitrary, imaginary lines in the sand of we can't arrest or prosecute Gavin Newsom, A, because if we do, he'll do it to us. He already does it to us, so you might as well do it anyway. Or B, we don't do that with politicians. That has to stop. You know, the Democrats use the term "no one is above the law." They used it to create fraudulent charges of crimes that don't even exist. They use that to corrupt the judicial system. We need to use it to purify the judicial system, the court system. We need to do that. There is no way that this is not easily trackable fraud. I knew white-collar crimes detectives at the Sarasota County Sheriff's Office, and they could solve this crime. I mean, just nobody does it because you're not allowed to look into it because politicians are involved. That all needs to end. And I don't care if Republicans get lost in the wash. I don't care if Republicans get prosecuted too. But they need to be prosecuted. This is blatant fraud, and people need to go to prison for it. And it's not even hard to find out where the money went. All money is fungible. It is easily fungible and trackable because all money basically is digital now. But again, that's what Gavin Newsom's doing. Gavin Newsom is spending approved free cell phone service for 94,000 deceased people, 81% of his entire program's budget. That's what Gavin Newsom's doing. Here's what Donald Trump's doing. Eric Doherty video. President Trump just created a $12 billion stockpile of rare earths. Play for me.
Disruptions. Today we're launching what will be known as Project Vault to ensure that American businesses and workers are never harmed by any shortage. We don't want to ever go through what we went through a year ago. Just as although it did work out, thank you. Just as we have long had a strategic petroleum reserve and a stockpile of critical minerals for national defense, we're now creating this reserve for American industry so we don't have any problems. This historic initiative will combine $10 billion in export-import bank financing with $2 billion in private sector financing, and we even expect the American taxpayer to make a profit from the interest on the loan used to start the Project Vault. It's an amazing thing. They've been talking about it for years. Other presidents did a lot of talking, but they didn't do anything. Over the past year, my administration has taken extraordinary steps to make sure the United States has all of the critical minerals and rare earths that we need. We're investing in mining projects, we're expediting federal permitting. You know, the federal permitting, and a lot of it is Lee Zeldin, who's been fantastic, but federal permitting is such a big deal. And we're doing that. The permitting of mines and signing major critical mineral deals with countries from all over the world, and we're getting along with all of them. Every one of them, they want to be in the proper position.
So what he is doing is absolutely leveraging out China's leverage. Because China basically owns a lot of the rare earths in the world, or has the ability to control them, and Donald Trump is eliminating that. That's what Donald Trump's on and about doing. What did Joe Biden ever do? Nothing. Nothing. What did he do with rare earths? Absolutely nothing. Talked about chip factories, never did any of them. Donald Trump's doing them. Donald Trump is bringing in the Taiwanese to teach us how to do chip factories. I believe it's Arizona and New Mexico. Can't remember which. But anyway, Donald Trump actually does stuff. And again, for people that are black-pilled towards Trump, that are former MAGA or are conservatives, you need to stop. You need to tell the truth about Trump. And you need to, what I mean by that is both critically and positively. And both negatively and positively, you need to criticize Trump. I mean, or just talk about Trump. You just go ahead and expose both. This is a big deal. His economy is fantastic. If this debt clock has visibly slowed down. This is a big deal. Look at this. I mean, I can flat out tell you that normally you see the 38, 692, 129. That 129 is usually moving. That 129 is usually moving. Now all you have and you're like, Tom, you know what? You're like, it's still horrible. Okay, it is. But most of this debt was not created by Donald J. Trump. He added a lot because of freaking COVID. He never should have caved because he did. And he would have been reelected in 2020 if he didn't. But I digress. But most of this, of course, was Hussein Obama and George W. Bush. And Joe Biden. Joe Biden, horrible. So I don't know what Joe Biden's was. It just depends on who you talk to. somewhere between 8 and 12 trillion he added to it. But anyway, I mean, absolute apocalypse of debt under Joe Biden. But anyway, this is drastically slowed down, folks. Why? He removed $600 billion off of our deficit spending that we are not going to spend out of the big, beautiful bill. It's been eliminated. It's a big freaking deal, and it needs to be acknowledged. If I'm going to listen, I don't like the ships massing in Iran. It looks like he's looking for a peace deal there too. But I don't like any of that. And I didn't like many of the provisions of the big, beautiful bill because they're funding NGOs. But there's also, like I said from day one, there's beautiful parts of the big, beautiful bill, and it's one of them. It's a big deal here. These are big deals. Rare earths are absolutely essential, and he's creating a stockpile along the lines of the STO, the Strategic Oil Reserve, SOR. So along the lines of the SOR, he's doing this now with rare earths, which is absolutely essential, and nobody's ever done it but him. Let me show you a couple Democrats here. I'm supposed to end the show at 10, I know, but I'm just going a little long as usual. Joe, we're going to do 2 in a row. Eric Doherty video, then Gunther Eagleman. Yep. Right in a row. Democratic fraudster Rep. Sheila McCormick and Democratic lawmaker, another Democratic lawmaker just hit with fraud charges. His name is Dexter Sharper. Play them both for me.
Arraignment day for Florida Congresswoman Sheila Sherfulis McCormick. The Democrat is accused of conspiring to steal $5 million in federal disaster funds during the COVID pandemic and funneling some of it into her 2022 congressional campaign. The Congresswoman's attorney already notifying the court she is waiving her appearance and is pleading not guilty. She is facing a total of 15 charges. Her trial is set for April.
The state representative Dexter Sharper falsely claimed he was out of work to collect nearly $14,000 in emergency benefits. Investigators say Sharper, a Democrat who represents Valdosta, was earning income as a legislator, running a party rental business, and working as a musician. Following his federal court hearing today, Sharper declined to comment on the case. Now, 2 other state lawmakers also accused of pandemic unemployment fraud. Democratic Representative Sharon Henderson, whose district covers Covington, and former state representative Karen Bennett, who just resigned on the first day of the year.
So, it's funny. I never see any Republicans that are being caught for fraud. Yeah, man. I know it happens, but I'm just saying, that's an awful lot of Democrats. No Republicans, but yeah, you Democrats still vote these fraudsters, these hucksters and criminals in. Speaking of that, here's DEI Mayor of Baltimore. This is Brandon Scott, is being eviscerated for crying racism. Look at this guy. That's the mayor of Baltimore. That's the mayor of Baltimore. He looks like if he didn't have the beard, he'd look like a middle school age student. It's an Eric Doherty video. Being eviscerated for crying racism when a reporter asked him why he just bought a $165,000 SUV with tax dollars. Play for me.
But with that, his vehicle is still $55,000 less than before. So again, I want to ask you the same question.
Okay, Tessa, we'll just stop you right there. We get it. We understand that your station has this severe right-wing effort underway. We get that. But you also, you guys are dragging this thing out and also not including all the facts. A vehicle that was purchased in 2023 is not the same price as 2025. Right? You have to understand that reality.
Literally, this guy looks like he's 14 years old. I got to show you this one before we go. 10, 12. This one's funny. So remember all the things that Donald Trump is doing. So let's go. Remember the sheriff in the city of Philadelphia. They have their city police department. They got a sheriff's office. Sheriff's office runs the jails. So they have the Philadelphia sheriff, an obese black woman who's not capable of enforcing the law, but yet somehow she's in charge of the sheriff's office. But so even though she is completely inept in law enforcement duties, has no ability to carry out those duties, she is very capable in another area that has to be exposed, because you have to sing people's praises even when they're your opposition. Don Keith video. Remember the Philadelphia sheriff. Play for me.
Hey, do you guys remember that angry Philadelphia sheriff just a few days ago who was blustering, saying that if ICE came to her city, she was going to arrest them?
And so we stand here today with all those who stand against the made-up, fake, what you can call ICE, professional law enforcement. I don't call them none of that, because when you do it there, you're getting arrested.
Well, somebody released the Philadelphia police recruitment video online, and I have to tell you, it is glorious.
Lord have mercy. Alive in the building. Out there's no there's you ready? Where them fans at? Where them fans at? Where them fans at? Hit me one time. Oh, 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 I got my boots on the ground. Yeah. Oh, 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 I got my boots on the ground. Where the fans at?
Your tax dollars at work, ladies and gentlemen. Believe me, sheriff's offices get federal tax dollars too. All right, 10-14. That's good. Aaron, I don't know if we got any. I saw rants.
Yeah, we got 5.
All right, I got 5 rants. Let's hit them whenever you're ready.
KA1960 donated $10 for the win.
Thank you so much, KA1960. Love you. Go to the next one.
Yules 21 Hours donated $10. Thank you, TLP team.
You're welcome, Jules. Love you. Love your, really always appreciate your loyalty. Really do. That's big. Huge. Thank you for always being here. Really appreciate it. Go to the next one for me.
Robin Aroni donated $5. God bless Pastor Tom and the TLP crew. We love you guys.
Another stalwart attender of Foundation Church. Love you so much. Robin Aroni. Appreciate you. Go to the next one.
BP2717 donated $20. I did not know the definition of cuckboy before today. Now I understand why your wife won't let you say it from the pulpit.
Well, just so you know, it's not that she won't let me. No, she doesn't like it. But I've said it many times from there. But I don't know about many. I've said it. I don't know. You think Aaron qualifies for many? I don't know. It might maybe
close.
It might be many.
Close to many.
But no, there's no wife letting me do squat, just so you know. But she doesn't like it, and I do. Listen, I do like to please her whenever possible, and she's right. Okay, because I've also said a lot of other things for the pulpit I shouldn't say. Okay, I mean I've said it in front of the congregation. Like I do. I don't ever cuss. I don't use F words, S words, A words, D words, nothing. But I do say things I shouldn't say. I mean, especially from the pulpit. You do have different genres. You have podcasts and you've got pulpit, and those are people are coming to church for a different reason than they're watching podcasts. I mean, that's the whole thing. Some people go to both with the same attitude, whatever, but people do that. So people are coming, and especially new people walking to church, and the pastor drops cuck from the pulpit. Okay. I got my wife's point. Okay. But anyway, so I'm not trying to split hairs, but you probably won't hear it again, but I can't guarantee you won't hear it again. All right. Go to the next one.
KJPCO donated $5. Are you seeing any iguanas falling from trees in your area?
It's funny. I saw was the news report on it. We do have quite a few iguanas right here. I have not seen any, and I live out in the middle of nowhere, but I don't really live in an iguana area because a lot of iguanas areas, like I'm in the forest, like I live in the Mayaca State Forest. They're not real prevalent in the pine forest, in the palmetto scrub. They're more prevalent towards the water, towards the beaches. You go out in the Boca Grande, they're everywhere. So I'm imagining they're scooping up frozen iguanas in Boca Grande, unless they've already killed them all off out there. They are very invasive. They are mean. They're dangerous. And there's people hired out to exterminate them or whatever else, or get them out of people's houses. They burrow up under people's houses. They're mean. So, but I haven't seen any of them. But I don't live in an area. I've only seen one ever in the vicinity of my neighborhood. I saw him more than once, but I've only seen one. It's a good size one, though. All right, next one.
David Bradshaw donated $20. Have a blessed evening.
David, my friend, this is a friend of mine, by the way. David Bradshaw from church, very loyal guitar player, friend of mine, love him. Great, thank you, David. Love you, buddy. David is what I call him. He calls me Tomas. I call him David because I like to pretend he does speak fluent Spanish, and I like to pretend that I do. All right, that's it. Love you guys. Stick around for the post game. It is awesome. Back here tomorrow night at 9 o'clock. As always, I love and appreciate you guys so much. God bless you.
Hi, how are you?
I'm okay.
Good. I'm Finn. I'm one of the volunteer coordinators at Murphy. Do you have a little one that goes there?
Yes, my granddaughter goes there. She lives with me.
Oh, okay, great. So I'm the director of the School Teachers Helping Adolescents Reach Towards Thinking Smarter, or the SHARTs. And our job is just to kind of prevent any messy or explosive situations from occurring with children that may be from different backgrounds. So unfortunately, we do have a number of children that come from mega households at the school.
Really?
Yeah, a lot more than we expected, and their presence is scaring some of the other children for obvious reasons. And it's starting to affect us financially. A number of parents have pulled their children out, and some of the donors, yes, have backed out. But we think we've come up with a final solution. So could I tell you a little bit about it and then maybe get your signature?
Yes, that's
Okay, so what we're hoping is that we can team up with some of the local politicians and legislators and do a mandatory sterilization of registered Republicans in the area, just to make sure that in the future there's no more children coming from mega households.
Okay.
So is that maybe something you'd be willing to support with your signature?
Yes,
Yeah? Okay, great. If you could just sign here where it says SHARTs, and then where it says regarding or RE, if you could just put TARD for Teachers Against Republican Danger.
Okay.
Great. I love your signs in the front, by the way.
Oh, thank you.
You're welcome.
Here you go.
Great. All right. Well, thank you so much, and we'll keep you updated on what happens with that.
Okay.
So, all right. You're welcome. Have a great day, ma'am. And remember, only you can prevent fascism.
No one is illegal on stolen land.
Oh my God, she's so brave. That's so brave.
Oh, Phineas. Phineas?
Yes, dear.
Oh, Phineas. You know what I realized? Since no one is illegal on stolen land, that means there's no rules. There's no laws.
Oh yes, my sweet dear. We can finally get married.
Oh, Phineas. And we can have that Nepo baby we always wanted.
So, new national trend among leftists who want you to think that ICE are the Nazis, pulling children as young as kindergarten out of school to force them to march in political protests in the street. Teachers in San Francisco pulled elementary school students as young as 5 out of class and marched them through the city holding anti-ICE signs. Kids in Atlanta used the opportunity to trash their school field and break laptops at a school that is only 15% proficient at math. At another school in Oakland, California, students stood at an intersection yelling F Donald Trump while holding misspelled signs upside down. Students from a Georgia high school almost got hit by a car while protesting in the street. These are children whose parents sent them to school to learn. They're not politically active. They just want an opportunity to get out of class. Some of them are too young to understand what they're being pulled out of class for. So if you're still wondering whether the communists think they own your children, they do. And they're not being subtle about it.
I really pray it doesn't get bad enough. But being a mom in America, I had to stop walking for this. I often think that if it gets to the point of knocking on doors, God, and to even have these thoughts, it's like I'm literally separating from reality right now. If it comes down to me taking out myself and my kids versus us being taken and harmed by ICE. Like, God help me, I did not want to do it. This is not the life I wanted. But that is a very dark thought that I've had. Death would be a easier out than for my children to be taken and harmed by these pedophiles.
Like, no one's illegal on stolen land, so we should just defense the whole country. Except my mansion, but everything else is free.
This is so good.
Like we should rip people apart from their families.
Are you a man?
Wow. Wow, is that a question? Wow. Okay. How do you feel about ripping people from their families? Does that feel good?
Fucking house nigga in here. Sir, I need to move. Fucking house nigga working for the fucking KKK. What the fuck's wrong with you people?
Why are you calling a woman a man? I mean, what kind of a guy does that?
Fucking house nigga, bitch.
Go up for your fucking slave
Podcast is all about. We talk about a lot of political things, but underneath all of that is the Bible. I am unapologetically 100% in favor of it is the Bible. Jesus is the Word. There is no delineation. If the Bible says it, that's what Jesus is, and that's what Jesus believes. That's what this podcast is actually about, is to actually alert people to what is coming and what is our responsibility in the midst of it.